He could have ended the travesty with a phone call because I did nothing wrong.
Kemp is your former boss.
We served together for sure. Brian Kemp has forgotten more about being a Republican than Donald Trump knows about being a Republican. Brad Raffensperger and myself included, we have done more for the conservative cause than Donald Trump has ever done. This is now starting to not be Donald Trump's problem. This is starting to be the Republican Party's problem. We have to call him out for what he is. He's a felonious thug who walks down the street and throws sucker punches at people like Brian Kemp, like African-American journalists, like John McCain, and the list goes on and on and on again. And the Republican Party is content sitting across the street watching it happen and not calling him out, not jumping into that fight and saying, you are wrong for us. This 10% in the middle, which now feels like it's growing to be bigger than 10% in the middle, that's going to decide this election, are paying attention. And I've never seen a human be more self-destructive than Donald Trump the last 2 weeks. He continues to do it over and over and over again. And when he loses, and the Republican Party finally catches their breath and wakes up and says, we need a GOP 2.0, there'll be some people around, but it's going to take time to fix. My hope is that Kamala Harris ends up being a blank canvas for us to be able to help work these new policies and new ideas into place. That's the risk I'm taking as a Republican voting for Kamala Harris.
Final word.
I wanted to start with that clip from Georgia's former Republican lieutenant governor sharing his endorsement of Kamala Harris, because I think it provides some important context for what the state of this race is. And that is a race in which not only is Kamala Harris surging in every metric possible, the polls, fundraising, enthusiasm within her party, but Donald Trump is also self-destructing. Every attack he makes hurts him more and dissuades the voters who were potentially thinking about voting for him. As we've discussed on this show, any given poll shows 5 to 10% of Republicans, former Trump voters, moving over to Kamala Harris. And Donald Trump isn't just hurting himself, but he's hurting all of the down-ballot Republicans. And this, of course, is incredible. He is destroying the Republican Party from within, because he is such a bad candidate. And he continues to do so not only just by endorsing terrible candidates, as we'll talk about later in this show, but by attacking the ones that I don't like, but are conventionally good candidates, the people who actually go out and win races, like Brian Kemp in Georgia. While I do not like Brian Kemp or his policies, he is certainly good at winning races for the Republican Party. And Donald Trump is doing all this and thus destroying not only himself, but the Republican Party as well. And it is just incredible to watch. And one specific Truth Social post is really kind of screwing him over. And we're going to check that out right now. Trump writes on Truth Social, "We have to purge the party of people that go against our candidates and make it harder for a popular Republican president to beat the radical left lunatics. Duncan is a loser who is disintegrating on his own. Congratulations to Josh McCoon for purging our party of misfits and people that don't want to see us succeed." That message on Truth Social is so dictator Trump. That is showing us the authoritarian that he wants to be, to eliminate anyone who's disloyal to him, because of course that's the thing that Donald Trump cares most about, keeping his cult in check. And because Donald Trump wants to attack Republicans who maybe disagree with him, instead of building bridges like we've seen Joe Biden do, working across the aisle successfully and maybe navigating the different workings, the different sides of his own party so well that he was able to pass historic legislation, Donald Trump can't do that because he is so enraged if anyone doesn't absolutely commit fully to him that it is destroying his own campaign. It's part of this derangement and unraveling of Donald Trump that's happening that's hurting him so much. And Chris Christie commented on that and absolutely slammed Donald Trump. And I want to check it out.
Impulse. You can't imagine that anybody who understands anything about politics would say, hey, here's a great idea. Go to the National Association of Black Journalists and question whether Kamala Harris is really black or not. This is what happens, George, and this is how you can tell that this race is changing. Because what happens is when Donald Trump's ahead and he feels like he's comfortably ahead, he is willing to go with conventional, smart political advice. As soon as he thinks it's getting close, he goes back to the greatest hits. You saw this at the convention when he didn't think he was getting the reaction he wanted from the beginning of the speech. He went back to the greatest hits. You saw it at the NABJ, and you saw it last night in Atlanta.
Attacking the Republican governor.
Right. Now, here's Brian Kemp, who he has attacked mercilessly since 2020. Sponsored a primary candidate against him, who, by the way, Kemp got 70% of the vote against in the primary, beat Trump's endorsed candidate. And this is a guy who won big in 2022 when lots of other Republicans up and down the ticket, including in Georgia, were losing. And so to attack Kemp is a stupid thing, but this is who he is, George. This is personal. He's juvenile. And so he's going to continue to attack not only Brian Kemp, but the women of Georgia should have heard loud and clear last night. He attacked First Lady Marty Kemp just as viciously as he attacked the governor. And that's the greatest hits.
And it's not just Donald Trump's attacks on Kamala Harris's identity, which really put voters off to any thought that they might have had for voting for him. But like Chris Christie said, it's also attacking popular Republican governors in a state that Donald Trump is looking like he's going to lose again in Georgia. Because, again, not only is there so much enthusiasm behind Kamala Harris, but Donald Trump is hemorrhaging Republican support everywhere. And it's not just him attacking popular Republican governors that's hurting Donald Trump. Chris Christie made a really interesting point about the other ways that Donald Trump's actions have kind of come around to bite him in the butt.
This is really important. And I'll tell you this, if she picked Shapiro on Tuesday, Donald Trump created Josh Shapiro.
How so?
He endorsed Mastriano, the weakest Republican candidate in that field. What it allowed Josh Shapiro to do was, instead of playing to his base to try to win a narrow election, he saw an opportunity for a coalition-building election, and that's what he did. So now he's seen as a coalition builder because he did it, but the only reason he could do it is because Trump made another ridiculously stupid endorsement by endorsing Mastriano, who was a flawed, weak, bad candidate. If Josh Shapiro winds up winning and Trump loses Pennsylvania, he can go back to his decision in 2022 as planting the seeds for that loss.
Donald Trump has been, is right now, and always will be a loser. He lost in 2018, 2020, 2022. He'll lose in 2024. And it's not just because he is so incredibly unpopular, but he endorses the most unpopular candidates. And that's what Chris Christie was talking about in that last clip. He endorses people who are so loyal to him, and the people who are so loyal to him are absolutely terrible candidates and even worse people. Because if you can get behind Donald Trump, that says everything we really need to know about you. It says that you lack character, and it means probably you won't get a lot of political support. Dr. Oz is a great example. Herschel Walker is a great example. Those are Republicans who lost potentially winnable races in swing states because they were such bad candidates. But all that mattered to Donald Trump is that they liked him. And because of that, he is destroying the Republican Party from within. And that makes me absolutely so happy. And it's not the only thing he's doing, picking bad candidates, but he's also, like we've said before, alienating Republicans. And a perfect example of that is a new Republicans for Harris campaign that just launched that I want to talk about. Republicans for Harris launches with endorsements from across the country. Today, Harris for President is launching Republicans for Harris, a grassroots organizing program to further outreach efforts to millions of Republican voters who continue to reject the chaos, division, and violence of Donald Trump and his Project 2025 agenda. The program will leverage principled travel, on-the-ground organizing efforts, and paid media to research, persuade, and mobilize voters. While Donald Trump is putting off millions of Republicans, Kamala Harris is welcoming them into our movement, a movement that is excited about the future, a movement that is ready to protect democracy and preserve fundamental freedoms. That's what a vote for Kamala Harris means, and that is why I'm behind her. And if you are as well, and you want to support this movement, supporting Kamala Harris, make sure, as always, that you go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already subscribed and join our channel. And as always, leave a like on this video if you enjoy these videos, this channel. It really goes a long way in helping us. And if you want to add a little extra support to this channel, I am a college student, and so the support goes a long way. You can click that join button, become an exclusive member of the channel, join with a membership, and it really goes a long way in supporting what we do. And it comes with weekly bonus content. We're going to be doing a lot of fun things on the members only program, so make sure to join it if you can and you like to. And until next time, I'll see you soon.